The world-leading economy and world superpower over the century. But over the last few years, US losing its power to China. China's second largest economy in the world with nearly $20 trillion GDP. Even though China have a long, great civilization history and developed country, early 70s it was considered as a poor nation. Poverty becomes only problem. Chinese people were migrated to Europe, America, and other Western countries. After 70s, due to huge poverty, Chinese government had tried in many ways to mitigate this poverty, so they decided shifting the centrally planned economy to market economy, through which attracting foreign investment, leveraging its vast cheap labor, natural resources. At the same time, Chinese government also heavily invested in infrastructural projects, making the China as an export-driven model. Easy credit access to its companies, providing quality education, providing subsidies to its industrial and tech companies. Even though China become a developed nation, in the global town, no nation becomes successful without global presence, and one should not forget China is an export-driven economy. Over the last decade, China becoming a world superpower, especially by its own Belt and Road Initiative and through BRICS Nation. By Belt and Road Initiative, it aims to invest in over 150 countries and international organizations through 6 overland economic corridors and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. Belt and Road Initiative is central to Chinese foreign policy, promoting trade connectivity and China's leadership role in global affairs. It offers them infrastructural development, financial assistance, and technical assistance from China. The Belt and Road Initiative addresses an infrastructure gap and thus has the potential to accelerate economic growth across the Asia, Africa, and Central and Eastern Europe, according to a report from the World Pensions Council. While some countries, especially the United States, considering this project as a threat because of Chinese government influence, others point to the creation of a new global growth engine by connecting and moving Asia, Europe, and Africa closer together. These investments are in the form of loan, borrowing nations repaying this loan through Chinese state-owned companies, as well as Chinese private company allowing to getting access to natural resources like mines, ports, oil wells. China is the largest investor in Africa's mining sector, with over 1,250 Chinese-owned mines operating by 2022, focusing heavily on critical minerals like nickel, cobalt, and lithium. Driven by green energy and industrial demand, major investments in 2025-2026. China dominates global critical mineral refining, controlling 70 to 90% of processing for key materials like lithium, cobalt, graphite, and rare earths, often refining 95% of battery-grade supplies. This processing monopoly, backed by state subsidies, gives China unparalleled influence over global EV and technology supply chains. China acts as the leading refiner for 19 of 20 strategic minerals, with over 70% share in many, making it the central hub for processing raw materials into usable high-tech components. China produces over 95% of battery-grade graphite and rare earth elements. In 2024, they controlled nearly 70% of global lithium chemical production. China takes over most of the critical mineral mines around the world. China imposed export controls on critical minerals like rare earth elements, gallium, germanium, and antimony, primarily targeting the U.S. in response to American tech restrictions. These moves, escalating in late 2024 and October 2025, disrupted global supply chains for defense, EVs, semiconductors, and renewables. In December 2024, China banned exports of gallium, germanium, antimony, and super hard materials to the U.S., citing national security right after U.S. semiconductor curbs. Short-term bottlenecks hit U.S., Japan, Europe, and South Korea, raising costs for EVs, wind turbines, and defense gear. Manufacturers face delays, higher prices, and supply uncertainty as China dominates processing, over 80% of rare earths. In January 2026, China imposed immediate export restrictions on specific rare earth minerals and dual-use defense-relevant technologies to Japan. This move, targeting materials like gallium and permanent magnets, acts as retaliation for Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Taikeichi's comments regarding Taiwan's security. China is a near-peer competitor to the US in AI, with breakthroughs in algorithms, AI-based facial recognition, and the rapid development of large models like DeepSeek, QW. China leads in industrial robot deployment and manufacturing, with significant advances in humanoids and smart automated factories. Most of mines are using driverless vehicles. China dominates the global EV supply chain with widespread consumer adoption, advanced battery technology, and innovations like modular flying cars. Chinese companies are the leaders in battery technologies. Western companies are unable to compete with the Chinese companies because of high labor cost, non-technological advancement, especially in manufacturing sectors, political instability, economic issues. Russian assets, approximately $300 billion in Russian central bank, reserves and private wealth blocked by Western countries after Russia invasion of Ukraine. After Donald Trump came into power, made sanction on different countries, which leads the many countries consider alternative payment system other than US SWIFT payment system, especially BRICS nation. The BRICS group, originally composed of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has expanded significantly in recent years to include Egypt, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Indonesia. Together, these nations represent roughly 45% of the world's population and 35% of global GDP. Few days ago, India's central bank has proposed that BRICS nations links their official digital currency to make cross-border for tourism and trade, as per Reuters report. After US using its financial power imposing sanction on which countries does not listening to the US, biggest bondholders of US bonds like China and Japan silently selling the US Treasury bonds and buying the gold. Once upon a time, many countries considered the US bond as an alternative to gold. Over the last 2 years, approximately 1,000 tons of gold were purchased by many central banks around the world. Even though US imposed a sanction, China made $1.2 trillion exports around the world, and China's yuan strengthened than US dollars in the last few days. Thank you for watching the video.